The Constitution is a very important source of law. Stay tuned and I'll explain why. I'm David and welcome to my channel The Legal Journey, where I speak about lifestyle and law. This video is part of a series of videos where we speak about the sources of law. In this video I'm going to be speaking about the Constitution being a source of law, and I'm going to be looking at the structure of the Constitution, how constitutions are interpreted, and finally fundamental rights and freedoms found in the Constitution. Let's start the first point now. Whichever Caribbean country you're from, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, Jamaica, Barbados, St. Kitts, Nevis, St. Vincent, Dominica, wherever, all these countries have written constitutions that state that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, which means that the Constitution is above all laws, or it is the foundation of all laws. In the Constitution you would normally find the preamble. The preamble would start such as, whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago affirm, etc. You could check your constitution, you will see what your preamble reads. The preamble will normally speak about the founding principles and what are the standards and the belief that this country holds to. So I personally really enjoy reading the preambles of various countries. Even outside of the Caribbean, you should probably look at the one from Saudi Arabia, look at the one in India, some of the African countries as well. Some very interesting reading. In addition to the preamble being in the Constitution also has what we describe as the fundamental rights and freedoms, which is a very important section of the Constitution for your everyday living. We will discuss this later on in the same video, so stay tuned. Further to that, you would now have what I could describe as the governance structure of the particular Caribbean nation. It would have the legislature, the judiciary, as well as the executive functions. Some persons describe it as the separation of powers principle. If you look in the Constitution, you would not see that term separation of powers, but you will see how the Constitution states clearly the powers and functions of the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. It's like a balancing act so that no particular arm abuses their powers. Remember, we are really giving our powers as citizens individually to the state, and this Constitution is to just make sure that that social contract that we have with the state isn't breached. So this is why the Constitution is such an important source of law. This video mainly speaks about the Constitution being a source of law, but I promise you this, that in some subsequent videos I'll be speaking about specific breaches of your constitutional rights, and we will look at remedies that are available and the way that you will seek redress. So what you should do is just subscribe to my channel right in the bottom there, and when I post those videos you'll get all of those useful content so that you can become empowered and know your constitutional rights. So when it comes to the interpretation of the Constitution, what is very useful is what we call case law. And I know in my next video I'm going to be speaking about case law, but for now just see case law as a decision made by the court based on particular facts as they apply to the law, right? With that being said, there's a very useful case called the Minister of Home Affairs against Fisher, where the court said that in interpreting the Constitution you should look at a purposive and generous approach, and you should avoid the austerity of tabulated legalism, which means that it shouldn't be interpreted very narrowly, but you should look at how the society has evolved and how there are changes taking place in values and morals, and how the Constitution is a living organism that evolves as time goes by. All in all, the Constitution should be interpreted generously and with a purposive approach, and it shouldn't be restricted. If you find that the Constitution has too many pages and there's one part that you must read, that's going to be the section on the fundamental rights and freedom section. For example, in Trinidad and Tobago that would be chapter 1, in Dominica it's going to be chapter 1, in Barbados chapter 3. You know what, I'll just leave in the description below where you would find your section about the fundamental rights and freedom in the specific Caribbean island. I'll try to give as much as possible, right? So You see, fundamental rights and freedom really protects us and ensure that there's no abuse by the state against our rights. These would include things like freedom of expression, the right to enjoy your property, the protection of the law, the equal treatment by the law, freedom of press, and numerous rights. Things like ensuring that you have legal counsel. Even as I mentioned that, there was one time I had visited a police station and an officer made a statement that had me turn around, because I went to check my client and the officer said, no, he doesn't have, the lawyer don't have to be here, there's no right to legal counsel. So I was like, what is that? These rights are crucial, and this is where these rights come from, your constitution being the supreme law. So my suggestion is that you spend some time reading your constitutional fundamental rights and freedom. And once you do that, I think you do feel quite empowered, because if you're being treated wrongly by a particular member of the state, you would be able to state correctly, my constitutional right states so on and so on and so on. So guys, we've just end of the source of law being the constitution, and I'm quite excited about speaking about the other forms of law, but we do that in my other videos. For now, if you haven't, make sure that you subscribe right at the bottom there and check my other videos. You would certainly enjoy some of the content, well, all of the content. And thank you again for your support, and we will see you in my next video. Take care.